Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, the Council of Ministers convenes in a weekly session and approves a draft decree related to the treatment of minors. The First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs chairs Kuwait's delegation to the current meeting of the Arab League Council in Cairo at the ministerial level. The US Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel vows to help further strengthen Georgia's military during a rare visit to Georgia today. And Pakistan's Prime Minister calls for a speedy rescue after heavy monsoon rains hit Pakistan and India. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, on the passing away of the mother of His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Mish'al bin Saud bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, on the passing away of the mother of His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Mish'al bin Saud bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable of condolences. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to Her Excellency President Dilma Rousseff of the Federal Republic of Brazil on her country's National Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to Her Excellency President Dilma Rousseff of the Federal Republic of Brazil on her country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable of congratulations. His Highness Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received at his Diwan in Sif Palace today His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness also received His Excellency the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior and Acting Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah. His Highness later received His Excellency the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al Jarrah Al Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received the Acting National Assembly Speaker Mbarak ibn Al Khrenij. His Highness then received His Excellency the Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs Sheikh Salman Sabah Al Salim Al Mahmoud Al Sabah. His Highness then received His Excellency the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice Sheikh Mohammed Al Abdullah Al Mbarak Al Sabah. Finally, His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince received His Excellency the Minister of Public Works and Minister of Electricity and Water Abdul Aziz Abdul Latif Al Ibrahim. The Council of Ministers convened at Sif Palace in a weekly session this afternoon under the chairmanship of His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mbarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, and was informed of the content of a message to His Highness the Emir by the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Tamam Islam, which focused on the existing good relations between the two countries and ways of boosting them in the future. The Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Al Mbarak Al Sabah said after the meeting that the Council of Ministers was also informed of the formation of the delegation that will accompany His Highness the Prime Minister during his forthcoming official visit to the United States of America and the United Kingdom in the course of the existing strong friendship between Kuwait and the two countries. The delegation will consist of His Excellency the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, His Excellency the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mbarak Al-Sabah, and a number of senior officials at the Diwan of His Highness the Prime Minister. The Council of Ministers also took note of the Memorandum of Committee of Legal Affairs, which included a draft decree for minors and its explanatory notes. The draft decree called for transforming the criminal treatment of minors to be based on social and educational treatment before looking for the penal measures. The Council of Ministers approved the draft decree and submitted it to His Highness the Emir before being referred to the National Assembly. The Council of Ministers also reviewed the report compiled by the General Secretariat of the Supreme Council of Planning and Development regarding the legislative stand on the priorities set up by the legislative and executive authorities, which included a number of laws that must be approved and dispatched to the National Assembly. The Cabinet then discussed political issues in light of the incoming reports about current developments at the Arab and international levels. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, received at Sif Palace today in the presence of His Excellency the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs and Acting Minister of Justice, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mbarak Al-Sabah, the Kuwaiti media delegation that recently visited the Islamic Republic of Iran. His Highness hailed this initiative by the Kuwaiti People's Media Delegation and underscored the importance of exchanging visits and interactions in order to strengthen cooperation and relations among peoples of the region. His Highness the Prime Minister said the exchange of those visits between popular delegations reflected the existing strong ties between the two countries, which became deeper and stronger following the visit of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah to the Islamic Republic of Iran, with whom we are bound by strong ties and marked for mutual respect and fruitful cooperation. His Highness also underlined the importance of popular diplomacy, which supports the government actions to develop relations between countries in the manner that will serve their best interests and to bolster stability and security in the region. The First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, chairs Kuwait's delegation to the meeting of the Arab Foreign Ministers, which is due to begin in Cairo today. The Arab League Council at the Foreign Ministers level will discuss political development of the Palestinian issue and the repercussions of the Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip, as well as the current situations in Iraq, Syria, Libya and Yemen. An attack overnight on government forces near Mariupol and shelling near Donetsk has put the tentative ceasefire in East Ukraine at risk. Plumes of smoke could be seen rising above Donetsk airport this morning, which had been occupied by government forces. More in this report with Nadia Ali.
Artillery fire late last night near the strategic port of Mariupol in eastern Ukraine in the first serious violation of a ceasefire declared only about 30 hours earlier. The presidents of Russia and Ukraine had earlier said the ceasefire, part of a peace roadmap intended to end 5 months of conflict, had largely been holding across eastern Ukraine, where Kiev's forces have been battling pro-Russian separatists. The area east of Mariupol had previously been quiet since the ceasefire took effect last Friday, but many residents and combatants in Mariupol and in Donetsk, the other main flashpoint in the conflict, have expressed doubts that the ceasefire can last. In his statement, Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko said he and Russia's Vladimir Putin had agreed in a telephone call that the overall ceasefire was being implemented and that they needed to find ways to make it more durable. The 12-point pact was the first to gain the backing of both Kiev and Moscow after 5 months of fighting that has claimed 2,800 lives and triggered the deepest crisis in East-West relations for a generation. But the renewed violence threatened a repeat of the unilateral ceasefire called by Kiev in June, which collapsed within days. Both sides were accusing each other of breaching the truce within hours of its signing in the Belarusian capital Minsk. In the days before the ceasefire, government forces had been trying to repel a major rebel offensive targeting Mariupol, a key port for Ukraine's steel exports. Kiev says the rebels were backed by Russian troops, a charge Moscow has denied. Although the ceasefire had mostly held yesterday, citizens in the other main flashpoint, the rebel-held industrial city of Donetsk, complained of sporadic shelling and gunfire, especially near the airport, which remains in government hands. Andriy Lysenko, the spokesman for Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, said Kiev wanted the exchange of prisoners of war to take place as fast as possible, but gave no time frame. He said the rebels were holding more than 200 Ukrainians captive. Despite the ceasefire, the U.S. and the EU agreed to beef up sanctions against Russia, and NATO approved a rapid reaction force aimed at reassuring jittery Eastern European states. Russia warned it would respond if the EU imposes more sanctions, accusing Brussels of supporting the party of war in Kiev. The Russian Foreign Ministry said instead of feverishly searching for ways to hurt the economies of its own countries and Russia, the European Union would do better to work on supporting the economic revival of the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine. Russia is being allowed to supply the devastated cities of East Ukraine with humanitarian aid that Kiev had previously opposed out of fear the convoys would be used to smuggle arms.
The U.S. carried out a series of airstrikes on IS militants close to the vital Haditha Dam in western Iraq, while Kurdish forces retook the strategically important Mount Zarta. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel defended the airstrike, saying the dam was vital to Iraqi and U.S. interests.
The dam is a critically important facility for Iraq. It is, I think, the second largest hydroelectric dam in Iraq, consistent with what the President has said were the guidelines for any military action there, protect our people and critical infrastructures in Iraq. Both of those fit clearly into the purpose of the strikes, as well as the request of the Iraqi government. Continues to isolate.
Hagel rejected the suggestion that the Haditha strikes opened up a new front in the war against the IS militant group, or that it represented an escalation of the U.S. military operations. Separately, U.S. President Barack Obama said he would set out a plan of action against the IS in a speech on Wednesday. Somalia's extremist group Al-Shabaab named a new leader after confirming the killing of its previous leader by a U.S. airstrike. Rebel commander Abu Muhammad said the militants unanimously selected Ahmed Omar, also known as Abu Ubaidah, at a meeting in an undisclosed location in Somalia. Former leader Ahmed Abi Godani was killed with 2 others by a U.S. airstrike on Monday. The attack took place 105 miles south of Mogadishu, where Al-Shabaab trains its fighters. Somalia's authorities earlier put the country on alert for possible retaliatory attacks by Al-Shabaab, who vowed to take revenge for Godani's death. A second Lebanese soldier taken hostage by the Islamic State or IS militants has been beheaded. The soldier was among a number of other Lebanese soldiers seized by the IS in August after the militants launched an incursion into the Lebanese town of Arsal near the Syrian border. The militant group has threatened to kill a soldier every 3 days if the Lebanese government didn't agree to release the group's members detained in Lebanese jails. Families of the captive soldiers have blocked highways and held demonstrations to push harder for the release of the men. Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif visited today flood-affected areas in the northeastern district of Sialkot. Sharif assured Sialkot residents that his government was doing everything it could to ensure their early rehabilitation. Landslides and flash floods triggered by heavy monsoon rains have killed more than 160 people and caused thousands of homes to collapse in Pakistan. Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority said that the flooding had hit 286 villages in Punjab as several rivers breached their banks and that the crisis was rapidly becoming a national emergency. The United Nations sent out today a rescue call for international action on battling the Ebola virus as the death toll from the outbreak surpassed 2,000. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that $600 million was urgently needed for supplies to combat Ebola in West Africa. The UN chief also urged airlines and shipping countries to lift their bans on flights and port visits so doctors, nurses, beds, medical equipment and supplies could reach those in need. The United Nations is also establishing an Ebola crisis centre with the goal of stopping transmission in affected countries within 6 to 9 months. The National Council for Culture, Arts and Letters, or the NCCAL, wrapped up the 9th Summer Cultural Festival with a traditional musical concert performed by the Kuwait television troupe on theatre at the Kuwait National Museum. The concert witnessed a huge attendance and the night was said to be a big success. More on this with our reporter Rinwa Japouri.
The closing ceremony of the 9th Summer Cultural Festival was without doubt a beautiful way to wrap up the summer festival. The troupe, formed in 1978 as the first national band to offer the Kuwaiti folklore, thrilled the audience with some of its best songs.
First of all, it's an honor for me and for the band to be tonight here in this event. Definitely it's a pleasure to me and to the rest of the band to be here tonight. Our maestro, Mr. Islam Faris, he's the conductor of the band. Okay, we are performing tonight. It's a good opportunity, a good chance to play for this event. And we would like, or we wish to perform well and to attract the admire.
Television band perform all kinds of rhythm, Kuwaitian rhythms like Samri, Sot, Radha, Samri Nagazi, all kinds of. Maybe we will perform 7 or 8 kinds of Kuwaitian rhythms.
Music is a powerful phenomenon that has the ability to transport people to one reminiscent era to another. And this is exactly what Kuwait's TV troupe was able to do, as the audiences truly seemed to appreciate and enjoy the music and song during the entire concert.
I'm a fashion designer specialized for the Kuwaiti group. And now nearly 10 years I'm with them, more than 10 years. And on the other side, I am specialized also with the traditional historical series for television and fashion shows outside Kuwait and the Arab country and the European country. I think based on the traditional units from the desert, from the environment. You know, with a special group like this, you cannot go, like modernize. You might join a little bit of modernize with the Bedouin and with traditional, but not all. Especially when we go abroad, we have to show our music, we have to show our costume, we have to show our traditional things. So that's why I'm here.
NCCAL Assistant Secretary General Badr Al-Duwayesh noted that the audience had enjoyed various cultural and artistic events, which have made of the festival a distinguished occasion people wait for annually. Tonight's grand musical concert witnessed a mosaic of beautiful Middle Eastern music from the Kuwait National Theatre, I'm Genwa Jaburi reporting to you for the English News.
The Kuwait Stock Exchange indices advanced collectively today to close in the green zone as the benchmark added 19.2 points to settle at 7,472.92 points. The weighted index added 1.9 points to close at 494.25 points, while the KSX 15 index gained 3.3 points to end at 1,205.19 points. As for the market figures, today's session saw the ceiling of 5,495 spot transactions worth 27.8 million Kuwaiti dinars, compared with 4,789 worth 18.29 million Kuwaiti dinars in the previous session, with some 238 million shares changing hands. Please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. The Council of Ministers convenes in a weekly session and approves a draft decree related to the treatment of minors. The First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs chairs Kuwait's delegation to the current meeting of the Arab League Council in Cairo at the ministerial level. US Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel vows to help further strengthen Georgia's military during a rare visit to Georgia today. And Pakistan's Prime Minister calls for a speedy rescue after heavy monsoon rains hit Pakistan and India. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.